Hi, and welcome to our podcast series, Healthy Parent, Happy Kid. I'm Christine cdalessandro. I'm here with my fabulous colleague, Hayes Honor.
Hello, I'm so happy to be here. This is exciting.
And we are very excited. And today's topic is one that we see on a regular basis and things that we have been working on with parents, and it's about discomfort.
Yes.
So just wanted to start us all off on the same page and basically define discomfort. You know, for us and how we define it is discomfort is an external event that causes internal turmoil.
Perfect.
Yeah. And, another thing I want to point out before we kind of talk about what it looks like in children and adults is that how important discomfort is. Discomfort is an important experience and important feeling so that growth can happen, and academically, emotionally, socially, and in every way, physically. So Hayes, if we're thinking about a child, what are some of the things we would see in children if they're feeling discomfort inside?
We see a lot in the classroom, at recess, lunchrooms, everywhere. We see like avoidance behaviors. We start to see maybe distractible. Sometimes some obstinance, some anger issues, withdrawal. We also see a lot of regression. Like sometimes with especially the lower kids, they'll revert back to the baby talk. And the anxiousness that comes in, and that again is just the feeling that's going on inside their body. So these are all some things that we see every day.
And are adults any different?
No, absolutely not. Adults are not any different. And that's the great part about this is that the adults, when they start to feel these feelings, they have more awareness about it, but they want to fix the kids because they know it's uncomfortable in their bodies.
Right. So, well, we hope that they're aware, and that's
Right.
what today is about, is to talk about how we can become more aware. And we also hope that we also want to talk about what fixing looks like and ways that you cannot try to fix things for your children because you can't be with them forever in every circumstance, and you're not helping them. So what I want to just say to that is, although adults are feeling all the same kind of emotions or exhibiting in the same way as children, they are actually as uncomfortable with discomfort as children are.
Correct. Yeah.
And learning how to be comfortable with being uncomfortable is definitely an important skill we want to teach, an essential skill we want to teach our children. And what ends up happening, as you just clearly pointed out, is that when we're uncomfortable, an adult wants to fix things for the children because they don't like to see their children in pain or suffer. And what are some of the long-term things that can happen if we continuously try to fix things for our children? And then we're going to talk about what that looks like.
Yeah. So one of the things, and this is like empirically studied, you could go and find tons of research on this, but what we see, and I witnessed this firsthand in my job, we see a lot of anxiety. We see a lot of perfectionism. We see depression. We see social struggles with maybe overcompensating because of the low self-esteem. So there are definite long-term effects for not being allowed to develop and grow through discomfort.
Right. And so one of the things that we see on a daily basis or with children who, and when parents are trying to fix discomfort, is that the main message you're sending your children, and this is really important, the most important message you're sending when you're trying to fix things for them instead of allowing them to feel slight discomfort or feel any kind of discomfort is you are telling them you don't trust them.
That's exactly right. Or you're not able. Or
you're not able,
Yeah.
and I don't trust you, nor do I trust the environment that I have put you in.
Right.
And rarely are children in environments that aren't very calculated. They send them to school, to a school that they trust. They leave them with people that they trust. They leave them in situations that they trust, and yet now they're trying to either proactively fix or anticipate a situation that needs to be fixed, or they're fixing it afterwards. And so lots of times parents ask me, I've been an educator for a very long time, almost 40 years, and the number one thing parents, when I ask them what they want, is they want their children to feel empowered. Well, empowerment doesn't come from a lack of trust with parents.
Yes.
Empowerment comes from giving your child opportunities to work through discomfort.
Absolutely.
That
Say
is
it loud
where-
for the people in the back.
Yeah, that is where it comes from, everyone. If you want an empowered, confident child, you need to allow them to feel discomfort. You need to allow them to have opportunities to practice that. And so in schools, and you may have this at home as well, things, it will look like they come home and just to give you the heads up, when you all ask your children how your day was, which is a very global question, we're going to have another podcast about how you can be more interactive and talk to your children about school. But when children come home, they really only highlight the 1% of the things that have been unresolved, the 1% of the discomforts that they've had in their day. So when they come home and say they've had this conflict, or there was someone didn't hear them, or they couldn't connect with their teacher, or they tried to manipulate an activity or a thing, or they're learning, they're expressing their discomfort. What should parents do? Should they say, oh, well, usually some parents say, well, you need to do this.
Correct.
Or don't play with this child.
Right.
Or when you do this, do A, B, and C. They're actually instructing them on how to behave when they're not there in school.
Correct.
Instead, what are some of the things that we want them to do?
So one of the great things is, oh, wow, you can tell me more about that. But then what did you do? How did you get through it?
Can you just stop
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
I love that. The most important thing. Say to your children, what can you do? What did you do and what can you do? Again, putting the power and resourcefulness in your child's hands with trust. Again, trust. You're building trust with them. Right. So go ahead, say it again, because I know I distracted our audience.
And this goes back, it's empowering. It's empowering. And at even the youngest, earliest age, you can do this. Anytime a child at any age, and even adults, when we can say, I can figure this out myself. I can figure this out myself. I can get through this on my own. I may need you for some support, just to bounce some ideas off of. I may need you just to physically be here while I get through it, but I know I can get through it. If we can, as parents and caregivers, give that message to the child, we are truly empowering them.
Right. Like, we trust you. So they come home, they're expressing discomfort, or they are home with their siblings or with a frustration about. The first thing you do is validate their feelings. And so we have a really great article. I was going to go through the whole list, but I want to note this article that will be in the podcast notes, but it's called Time to Give Up on Fixing Our Children. And in it lists specific things like number one, you have to allow yourself to feel the fear. Both Hayes and I are parents. We know what that feels like, that mama bear feeling, that when your children are suffering or they're uncomfortable, I mean, you want to like climb like a mountain.
Absolutely.
Just to take that away. So you have to feel that.
Yeah.
I always say, find some place like a walk-in closet or some place in your house where you can smile and go in and say, I'll be out in 10 minutes, and then just kind of get that out.
Yeah.
And then really listen. And in the article, when they say listen, it's engaging as if it were, try to listen in almost like an emotionally detached way, which is really hard for parents. But like, let's say you were listening to a niece or a neighbor's friend, or because they need to know that you're not burdening them with your emotions as well.
Yeah.
Right?
You're holding the emotions for them.
Right.
Yeah. It's like you're just transferring it over, but you're not then giving it back to them what you're feeling.
Right. So just sit there and listen and be like, and just like you would with a friend, right? Oh my goodness, that must be really hard. And how did you handle that? And then the last thing is to be curious. Is to really be curious about what's happening instead of you summarizing and bringing in, as I always say, don't plant your emotions, narratives, or bias in your child's mind. And we often find, right?
That could not be said more perfectly.
Thank you.
Honestly, good, because if you think about it, when we as adults, like I just said in the beginning of the podcast here, our behaviors are very similar to children. But we have the ability to have more of a developed brain, right? So we have that awareness piece. What's really important in these moments where we want to kind of project the discomfort or save them from their discomfort is model the healthy coping skills ourselves. Like recognize in the moment, let's say, for example, I'm stuck in traffic and I have my child with me in the car and I can't get anywhere and I start to get that discomfort feeling, blood flowing, all of that good stuff, sweaty.
And your daughter says, Mommy, what's wrong?
What's wrong? And I'm, and I could turn around and we're stuck in traffic, and now my uncomfort feeling is coming out as anger, just like it would sometimes in children.
But what can you say instead?
I can say, you know what? I'm just feeling a little stressed right now because I was supposed to be at a certain place at a certain time. But you know what? This is out of my control. So we're just going to take a deep breath. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to start to feel a little better.
Listen to some music or look at the birds that are flying by and model it.
Modeling is key.
Is really important.
Modeling is key. Yeah.
So,
and discussion and talk it through. It's okay. We feel as parents sometimes that we have to be this perfect parent, that we don't ever have these feelings either.
Right. Or that we have to get the answers, or that we're actually, one of my favorite words, we're allowed to be vulnerable. I think showing our vulnerability to children and how we're working through our discomfort is one of the best lessons you can give your children. So we're hoping that we gave you some tips about what to look for. Again, remember about being vulnerable, being aware. Don't plant your emotions in your child. Take some time to work through your emotions. Don't try to fix.
More than anything, don't fix.
Don't fix. Well, we hope this was helpful. Hope you got some tips. And we are so excited to present our next episode, which will be featuring screens. Not only how screen time can impact your own child's development, but also your relationship with your child and how that relationship develops over time. And also we'll give you some great resources that you can fall back on. So remember to
stay healthy and be happy.